In the previous episode, Li Shulai thought, the torture is finally over. Little did he know, it was merely the beginning. Lin Shuhuan approached him with a calm yet stern demeanor and said, "Today will begin your special training." She led him to a towering waterfall and, without hesitation, began removing her outer robes. "Today's training involves enduring the force of the waterfall. I'll join you," she announced. Li Shulai turned red, flustered by the unexpected turn of events. "Master, I'm just a normal man. How am I supposed to handle this?" he thought, panicked. Unfazed, Lin Shuhuan stepped into the freezing water, climbed onto a large rock beneath the waterfall, and sat directly under its powerful cascade. She glanced at Li Shulai, who stood frozen in place, and said, "What's holding you back? Does your wound still trouble you?" Struggling to compose himself, Li Shulai thought, "My goal in this new life is to work hard, not to succumb to distractions. Master transcends worldly concepts like gender. She isn't shy, so why should I be?" Summoning his courage, he removed his robes and stepped into the icy water, positioning himself near his master. The force of the water was relentless. Li Shulai's body trembled violently, his muscles tightening from the cold. Glancing at Lin Shuhuan, who remained composed and serene, "Master seems unaffected. If she can endure this, so can I." Hours passed, and as the evening approached, Lin Shuhuan opened her eyes and said, "That's enough for today." Li Shulai, however, was barely conscious. His body was numb, his face frozen in an expressionless mask, and every fiber of his being screamed with exhaustion. Even speaking felt impossible. Lin Shuhuan observed him with a slight smile, thinking, "This disciple shows remarkable potential. Many cannot endure even an hour of this training on their first attempt, yet he managed to persevere. He is indeed worthy of my guidance." Meanwhile, Li Shulai was silently pleading, "Someone, please." Unable to withstand the strain any longer, he collapsed into the water. Lin Shuhuan acted swiftly, pulling him to safety. When Li Shulai opened his eyes again, he found himself lying in his room. The familiar surroundings offered little comfort, as his body ached with every movement. "It feels like I've been trampled by a herd of horses," he thought, attempting to sit up. As he stirred, he noticed Xiao Ning seated nearby, tending to him. She glanced at him and said, "It was Master who brought you back. You had a fever." Still disoriented, Li Shulai checked himself under the blanket, only for Xiao Ning to snap, "Don't flatter yourself. I didn't volunteer to take care of you. Your fever reached 39 degrees, and it couldn't be treated with elixirs. Overcoming this on your own is part of early cultivation," she continued, her tone sharp. "Master and grandfather are out having tea. If I hadn't stepped in, no one would have cared even if you burned to death." Despite her words, Li Shulai managed a weak smile and said, "Thank you for taking care of me." Xiao Ning's face reddened momentarily, before she straightened her posture and retorted, "It's just waterfall training, and you end up with a fever? Pathetic." Li Shulai gave her an awkward smile, thinking, was that a veiled insult? Without missing a beat, Xiao Ning threw a damp cloth at his face and said, "Just lie down and don't die on me." She turned to leave, her footsteps echoing in the quiet room. As she departed, Li Shulai watched her curiously, thinking, why is she so quiet today? He reclined on the bed, exhaustion overtaking him. Maybe my earlier words had some effect. Perhaps she'll leave me alone from now on, he thought, before drifting back into restless sleep. 2 days later, after Li Shulai had fully recovered, he thought to himself, the fever is finally gone. That was embarrassing, getting sick after just starting physical training. However, he couldn't shake the thought, Master hasn't assigned me any follow-up tasks yet. What am I supposed to do next? But then he dismissed his doubts with a renewed determination. Compared to the misfortunes of my previous life, this rebirth is a blessing. Hardships and setbacks are merely tests, and I must seize this opportunity. With that, he dressed and headed back to the waterfall. As he approached, he noticed someone already there. To his surprise, it was Xiao Ning, cultivating under the waterfall. Li Shulai quickly ducked behind a rock, thinking, isn't Ma Xiaoning's spiritual power blocked? She's not supposed to be able to practice, right? I'd better not disturb her. I'll go for a run instead. Just as he turned to leave, Xiaoning stood up, her gaze shifting toward his direction. Startled, Li Shulai wondered, did she notice me? Quickly, he adjusted his posture and reminded himself, I came here openly and honestly. There's nothing to feel guilty about. However, Xiaoning wasn't looking at him. Her attention was focused on a massive stone in front of her. Li Shulai, puzzled, thought, what is she planning to do with that stone? Raising her hand, Xiaoning effortlessly sliced through the massive rock as if it were butter. Li Shulai's jaw dropped. Is this what they call unable to practice? If she tried to punch me, I'd be dead on the spot. In disbelief, he began to wonder, did I really get reborn, or is this some kind of parallel world? Is this really Ma Xiaoning? After splitting the massive stone, Xiaoning calmly adjusted her stance and began doing one-arm push-ups. Her movements were so fast and fluid that Li Shulai was left speechless. Then, without pause, she transitioned into sit-ups, alternating between the two exercises without even catching her breath. Li Shulai could only stare in awe, thinking, alternate between one-arm push-ups and sit-ups without stopping? Sister, are you serious? As she finished her workout, Xiaoning struck a triumphant pose and said to herself, we each did 200, which is one more set than last time. That's progress. She then removed her remaining clothes and stepped under the waterfall to rinse off. Still hiding behind the rock, Li Shulai quickly turned his head away, his face burning red. However, he couldn't help but remain in shock at what he had just witnessed. How much effort and hardship did she endure to reach this level? He wondered. For most practitioners, splitting a large rock is simple after reaching the foundation stage. But for Ma Xiaoning, whose spiritual power is supposedly blocked, this is no easy feat. She must have worked tirelessly in secret, accumulating strength over time to achieve this. Watching her, Li Shulai felt a surge of motivation. I haven't been working hard enough, he admitted to himself. I need to push myself to my limits, just like her. With newfound determination, he quietly retreated from the scene, ready to dedicate himself to his training with greater resolve. As Li Shulai stepped out from behind the rock, he was startled to find his master, Lin Shuhuan, standing before him. She looked at him with a knowing expression and asked, have you seen it all? Li Shulai lowered his head slightly, nodding in acknowledgement. I realized today that I didn't understand her well enough, he admitted. I thought she was a spoiled girl, with a narrow perspective, focused only on immediate gains. He reflected silently. But I didn't expect this. Lin Shuhuan handed him a handkerchief. Wipe away the sweat, she said. Thank you, master, Li Shulai replied, gratefully taking it. Lin Shuhuan continued. I've watched Xiaoning grow up. While she may seem spoiled at times, she's always been diligent and hardworking. Even though she was told from a young age that her path to spiritual cultivation was nearly impossible, she never gave up. Li Shulai felt a pang of realization. I was blinded by my own assumptions, he thought. I forgot that she's a remarkable person in her own right. Not only does she excel academically, consistently earning the top GPA, but she also takes first place in the school sports meets. She's intelligent, athletic, and admired by so many. Memories of his previous life flooded his mind. Wasn't it her grace and speed on the track that first made me fall for her? Back then, he had come from an ordinary family, with no outstanding traits or achievements. I was just another face in the crowd, with nothing to offer someone like her, he thought. Lin Shuhuan, noticing his contemplative expression, said, I'm not telling you this to make you feel inadequate. I'm telling you this to emphasize that talent is talent, and hard work is hard work. You have a higher starting point than most, but that doesn't mean you can afford to slack off. Use your talent wisely, and don't waste this opportunity. Her words filled Li Shulai with newfound determination. With resolve in his voice, he said, I understand. I will work even harder in my cultivation. A new routine. The next day, Li Shulai woke up early and began a rigorous training regimen. He climbed mountains to fetch water, performed grueling physical exercises, and pushed his body to its limits. Day after day, for an entire month, he followed this routine without fail. By the end of the month, his body had transformed, his muscles were toned, and his endurance had greatly improved. Wiping the sweat from his brow one evening, he thought, just 500 push-ups and sit-ups, and I'll call it a day. Before he could start, his phone rang. Glancing at the screen, he saw the name Mr. Yang. Master, Mr. Yang said nervously, you once told me I would face a major disaster in 20 years. Ever since, I've been plagued by worry. I can't eat, I can't sleep, and I think about it constantly. I've decided to offer you 10% of Feilong Technologies shares in exchange for more advice. Without hesitation, Li Shulai replied, There's no need for that. Money is merely an external possession. It holds no value to me. Startled by his response, Mr. Yang quickly apologized. "Master, I was foolish to think of using money to repay your wisdom. Please forgive my offense." Li Shulai's tone softened. "Don't worry about it," he said. "But as someone who has experienced life's trials, let me share some advice with you." Mr. Yang listened intently as Li Shulai continued. "The future is uncertain, so it's best to focus on the present. Right now, Feilong Technology's 2C model has strong development prospects. But eventually, your goods will rely on individual merchants for distribution. Have you considered building your own logistics chain?" Mr. Yang was taken aback. "Master, how could you know we're focused on the 2C model from the deep mountains?" Li Shulai pressed on. "If Feilong Technology establishes its own logistics network, you can improve service quality and reduce reliance on third parties. By offering high-quality, low-cost logistics services, you'll increase customer loyalty and build a stronger brand." He concluded with conviction. "Dedicate yourself to serving the nation and its people, and you won't go astray. Feilong Technology has the potential to become a generational legend. The decision is yours. Do you aim to leave a lasting legacy, or will you settle for short-term gains? The path forward is yours to walk, one step at a time." With that, Li Shulai ended the call. A revelation. Mr. Yang sat in his office, deep in thought. "The master has enlightened me once again," he realized. A bright smile spread across his face as he looked out the window. His wisdom is unparalleled. With his guidance, the future of Feilong Technology is boundless. A nearby employee, noticing Mr. Yang's glowing expression, whispered to a colleague, "Do you think the boss just closed another multi-million-dollar deal? He looks ecstatic." After finishing his call with Mr. Yang, Li Shulai resumed his training, performing 500 one-arm push-ups with determined focus. As he continued, his master Lin Shuhuan suddenly appeared before him. "Today, we're going to have a test," Lin Shuhuan announced. "Are you ready? If you succeed, you'll break through from the qi refining stage to the foundation establishment stage. However, if you fail, you'll have to continue training and wait for the next test. So, are you prepared?" Li Shulai, filled with excitement, exclaimed, "I'm ready," but added silently, "though I'm a little nervous. After the last trial, I had a fever for 2 days. Can I succeed this time in one go?" "Good," Lin Shuhuan replied. "Get dressed and follow me." Li Shulai hesitated. "But master, I still need to complete 129 sit-ups." "You can make up for it after the trial is over," Lin Shuhuan said firmly. Entering the trial. Moments later, after changing into fresh clothes, Li Shulai followed Lin Shuhuan to a cave. Inside, there was a large gate, sealed with a magical barrier. Lin Shuhuan placed her hand on the barrier, and the gate slowly opened, revealing a long, dark tunnel. "This is a simulated environment," Lin Shuhuan explained. "Your task is to keep moving forward and not get caught by the monsters. If you're caught..." Before she could finish, she kicked Li Shulai into the tunnel. Startled, Li Shulai shouted, "Hey, master! At least finish your sentence before kicking me in. Monsters? What monsters? Will I die if they catch me?" He turned to look back, only to find the door had vanished. Panic set in as he thought, could master really want to get rid of me? Don't treat your disciple like a disposable item. The chase begins. As he tried to make sense of the situation, a growl echoed from the darkness. A massive white tiger emerged, its glowing eyes fixed on him. The tiger snarled, sending chills down Li Shulai's spine. "Good brother," he said nervously, trying to calm the beast. "We can talk this out." The tiger, unimpressed, charged toward him. Without another thought, Li Shulai turned and ran for his life. Suddenly, a notification window appeared in front of him. "Please reach the finish line within 30 minutes. Failure penalty. Unknown." Seeing the ominous message, Li Shulai's heart sank. A punishment marked with question marks? That can't be good. If this tiger catches me, I'll be done for. Ahead, he noticed the path ended abruptly, leaving only a narrow wooden beam suspended over a chasm. Is this some kind of temple run? He wondered in disbelief. Gathering his courage, he sprinted across the beam and narrowly avoided a trap that triggered spikes behind him. The trial intensifies. As he continued running, dodging obstacles and traps, Li Shulai reflected, if this trial had come a month ago, I wouldn't have survived. Fortunately, my training, water trials, running, mountain climbing, has prepared me for this challenge. Another notification appeared. Countdown, 10 seconds remaining. Li Shulai's mind raced. What if the punishment is death? I've been given a second chance at life. I can't afford to fail now. Just then, he recalled Lin Shuhuan's words, "Keep moving forward and don't get caught by the monsters." Summoning every ounce of strength, he pushed forward, the white tiger closing in on him. As the beast lunged for an attack, Li Shulai dodged at the last moment. Out of breath, he struggled to maintain his pace while avoiding the tiger's relentless attacks. A glimmer of hope. In the distance, he spotted Lin Shuhuan standing near an exit. Relief washed over him as he thought, victory is within reach. With renewed determination, he sprinted toward the gate. The white tiger, sensing its prey slipping away, launched a final attack. Li Shulai, now just a meter from the finish line, felt the beast's hot breath on his neck as its jaws opened wide. The trial ends. Just as the tiger pounced, the countdown reached 0. The illusionary array was dispelled, and the tiger vanished into thin air. Li Shulai collapsed at the finish line, gasping for breath. Lin Shuhuan approached him with a smile. "Congratulations on passing the trial," she said warmly.